This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
We're only a few days before the Yom HaKadosh, the Yom HaGadol, before the Yom HaDin. This day of Rosh Hashanah, every single time it appears in Torah, Nevi'im, and Ksuvim, the Torah gives it a certain name, almost without fail. And I want to draw your attention to a number of these examples. And this evening we would like to discuss a number of different approaches, 3 approaches to understand why the Torah refers to Rosh Hashanah with this name. Al pi Musar, Al pi Kabbalah, Al pi Machshava. Let's begin with the Lamda Shakasha. The Gemara says on the end of Megillah that Moshe Rabbeinu made a takana that on Yom Tiv we have to learn the halachas of Yom Tiv, Shoylim v'Darshim and Yoner Shel Chag b'Chag, Shel Pesach b'Pesach, Ba'atzeres b'Atzeres, u'v'Chag b'Chag. Every Yom Tiv you have to learn the halachas of that Yom Tiv. So on Pesach you have to learn Hilchos Pesach. On Shavuos you have to learn Hilchos Shavuos. On Sukkot you have to learn Hilchos Sukkos. That's the Gemara. Everybody knows this halacha. Shoyel v'Dorish ben Yanei Shel Yom. Frek the Marsha Kasha. What happened to Rosh Hashanah? Why was Moshe Rabbeinu not misakein that on Rosh Hashanah you need to learn Hilchos Rosh Hashanah? There's an obvious question. But there are no halachas in Rosh Hashanah? A lot of halachas. By the way, does anybody know where in Shulchan Aruch Hilchos Shofar is in? Anybody know? I'm going to tell you where it is, and you'll never forget for the rest of your life. Siman Taf Kuf Pei Vav. Says Rabbi Yaakov Emden, Gematria Shofar. Okay? Siman Taf Kuf Pei Vav. Rabbi Yaakov Emden writes that the Beis Yosef had Ruach HaKodesh when he wrote the Simanim. So Siman Taf Kuf Vav Hilchos Shofar. I once went to a shiur from Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef. He asked, and I was learning your day at the time, he said, does anybody know where Hilchos Dogim is? I was like, Hilchos Dogim? He said, Pei Gimel. Rosh Tevos, gefilte fish, you know. And there are many examples. Like I remember Hilchos Slichos is in Siman Taf Kuf Pei Aleph. For tough, it's a tough time of the year. Kuf Pei Aleph, you need a lot of coffee. That's how I remember. And Hilchos Kiddush is in Siman Reish Samach Gimel because Reb Sadia Goin has a Kiddush, even though he doesn't, but you remember it that way. No, he taka does. Siman Reish Samach Gimel. And you put on tefillin on Yad Keha, Siman Chaf Hey. There are many, many different mnemonics to. Anyway, Hilchos Shofar is Siman Taf Kuf Pei Vav. So why don't you have to learn Hilchos Shofar on Rosh Hashanah? The Marsha asks further. The Gemara Nevin on Daf Mem Amud Beis says, Amar Rabba ki avinu be Rav Huna. When I was in the house of Rav Huna, Ibo Yilon, we had a shaila. Mahu loymar zman b'Rosh Hashanah. Should you say Shachianu on Rosh Hashanah? What's the shaila? Why not? You have to say Shachianu every single Yom Tov. Why would you not have to say Shachianu on Rosh Hashanah? By the way, it's a very interesting thing I saw. If let's say somebody gets a new talis, there's a tzad you have to make a Shachianu on a beged chadash. There's such a tzad. Let's say 5 different people got a new talis, or let's like this. Let's say 5 people got a new suit. Should everyone make their own Shachianu? Or should one person make the Shachianu and Broivam Hajjas Melech? Good question, right? So Shlomo Zalman says that everybody gets a different enjoyment from the suit, so therefore everyone has to make their own Shachianu. But what about Leil Rosh Hashanah? Should you make one Shachianu? Or should everyone make their own Shachianu? I didn't really think about this. The answer is the first night you don't have to make a Shachianu. But the second night, Shlomo Zalman says it depends if they're eating the same fruit or a different fruit. If they're eating the same fruit, everyone has the same enjoyment, then Dafka, B'roivam Hajjas Melech. Siman Bracha. B'roivam Hajjas Melech. But if they're eating different fruits, you know, they have in the stores fruits nobody ever saw. They got them from different planets, from different universes. You know? I don't know who made up these fruits. Nobody ever saw them before. But Rav Shlomo Zalman says if there are different fruits, then you make everyone makes their own shachianu. So the Shiur, the Gemara in Eruvin asks, do you make a shachianu on Rosh Hashanah? Ask the Marsha, why would you not make a Shechianu on Rosh Hashanah? You make a Shechianu on Pesach. You make a Shechianu on Shavuos. You make a Shechianu every Yom Tif. Why not Rosh Hashanah? Atem nitzavim hayoim kulachem lefnei Hashem alekechem. You're all standing today before the Ribono Shel Olam. When is this talking about? When do we all stand before the Ribono Shel Olam? We know that the word Hayoim in Tanakh come out every single time it appears. Hayoim refers to the Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah. Atem nitzavim Hayoim kulchem. Today on Rosh Hashanah, you're all standing before the Ribono Shel Olam. Where do we find Hayoim refers to Rosh Hashanah? In the beginning of Sefer Eov, the pasuk says, Vayehi Hayoim, and it was the day. Vayavoyu b'nei holohim l'siyatziv el Hashem, and the malachim came to stand by God. Vayavoy gam asatan b'soichem, the Satan also came. Says Rashi, what day was it? Vayehi Hayoim, oiso yoim, Rosh Hashanah haya. Was Rosh Hashanah. Doesn't say Rosh Hashanah in the pasuk. It just says the day. Yeah, the day means Rosh Hashanah. Literally, what does Hayoim mean? Literally, Hayoim means today. And Rashi is saying today means Rosh Hashanah. Likewise in Malachim. Vayehi Hayoim, Vayavar Elisha Shunem. Elisha came to the Shunem. And she pressured him. And he asked her, anything I could do for you? Could I speak to the king on your behalf? Could I help you out? And you know what she said? She said, no, I don't need anything. I don't really need anything. Which is a pella, because the Zohar asked, what do you mean she didn't need anything? Her kid was dead. She needed the Navi to do something. No, on Rosh Hashanah, you don't want special attention. You want to blend in among the crowd. You want to be part of the tzibor. Says the Zohar HaKadosh. Vayehi Hayoim, second line of 8. B'chol asar t'chsiv vayehi ihutzar. Vayehi Hayoim, Yoim Adis Tsar, V'da Hu Rosh Hashanah, Uv'chol Asar Vayehi Hayoim Da Rosh Hashanah. The Zohar. Whenever it says Vayehi Hayoim, it's a new year, Rosh Hashanah. What's the pshat? Why is Rosh Hashanah called today? I mean, you know what today is? Today is today. I'm going to tell you a big chiddush. Today is not yesterday, and today is also not tomorrow. Every single day is today. Why is Rosh Hashanah called today? Where else do we find that Hayoim is Rosh Hashanah? Look at number 11. The pasuk says in Tehillim, "Lemishpatecha amdu Hayoim ki hakol avadecha." In your judgment, they stand today because everyone is your servant. Is there any better pasuk that describes Rosh Hashanah than this pasuk in Tehillim? Lemishpatecha amdu Hayoim. In your judgment, they stand today. In fact, Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld says the gematria of the pasuk Lemishpatecha amdu Hayoim ki hakol avadecha is 861 Rosh Hashanah. The gematria of the whole pasuk. By the way, Bishul Diskin had incredible gematrias, especially B'negei Rosh Hashanah. He said if you take the number of words in the Kriyas HaTorah for the first day of Rosh Hashanah, plus the second day of Rosh Hashanah, there are a total of 861 words, gematria Rosh Hashanah. Bishul Diskin made a cheshbon, if you count the number of words in Kabbalah Shabbos, there's 702 words, gematria Shabbos. So you know, every word is important. Vayikra Avraham Shem HaMakoim Hahu Hashem Yireh. Avraham called the place God will see. Asher Yeomer Hayoim Bahar Hashem Yireh. It will be said on the day. What day do we invoke Rosh Hashanah? What day, do we invoke the Akedah? Rosh Hashanah, we always invoke the Akedah of Rosh Hashanah. By the way, almost everything we do on Rosh Hashanah is about the Akedah. Why do we blow shofar shel ayol? To commemorate the Akedah. V'Akedas Yitzchak v'Zarei Hayom Barachim Tizkar. Kriyas HaTorah, Akedah. Tashlich. Why do you do Tashlich? Well, you really think that by going like emptying out your pockets, you really think you're dumping out your Averos? There's nothing to do with Tashlich. You're not dumping out any Averos. Halavai, it should be so easy. First of all, you can't eat, you know, people throw the bread to the bird. You can't do that on Yom Tov. So what's Tashlich? Mishnah Berurah says Tashlich is very simple. At the Akedah, Avram Avinu walked, and there was a river there. So we go to the river to remember the Akedah. That's the reason for Tashlich. So everyone's going. Nobody ever thought about the Akedah. It's only the reason why we go. It's all. That's all. The only reason we go is to remember the Akedah. So maybe it's Kedai to remember the Akedah when you go do Tashlich. Might be Kedai to know what you're doing when you do it. Anyway, what's the reason for Kaparas? The Meiri writes, the reason for Kaparas is very simple. Meiri says, some people use chickens, some people use fish, some people use money. Meiri says none of the above. You should use a ram. Because what did Abraham exchange Yitzchak for? A fish? V'hinei dog nechaz basvach. V'hinei ayol nechaz basvach. Meiri says, Kaparos is Zecher la'akedas Yitzchak. And what? So then you should do it Erev Rosh Hashanah. He says, yeah. The Meiri says you should do it Erev Rosh Hashanah. So the Akedah is a central part of Rosh Hashanah. We're always invoking it. That's the Pshat. Asher ye'omer hayoim bahar hashamira. Why is Rosh Hashanah called Hayoim? And of course we say, Hayoim haras olam. Hayoim ta'amitzeinu. Hayoim tivarachenu. Hayoim tigadleinu. So here's the first approach. The first approach is, contrary to what we sometimes think, that tshuva is reserved for Yom Noraim and for Rosh Hashanah and for Yom HaKippurim. In Pirkei Avos we have a Mishnah, Shuv Yom Echad Lefnei Misascha. Do tshuva one day before you die. So that's great. It's good, maybe there's an app for that. So you put in your phone the Yom HaMisa and they get a notification the day before to remind you to do tshuva. That would be very convenient. So in Avos Rav Nosson it says they asked Rabbi Lezer, but nobody knows the day they're going to die. So he said, exactly, so you have to do tshuva every day. B'chol eis yeh begadecha levanim. How often should a person do tshuva? The Gemara says in Brachos, if you see a Talmid Chacham who did an Avera at night, don't be mahar acharav b'yoim, shema asa tshuva. Maybe he did tshuva. So Gemara asks, maybe he did tshuva? Gemara says, no, bevadai asa tshuva. He definitely did tshuva. Talmid Chacham will not let one night go by without doing tshuva. So the Mishnah Berurah says, every night before you go to sleep, say vidoy, to do tshuva. People are very scared of Kriya Shema Lamita. People have phobias of Kriya Shema Lamita because they see it's very long, so they say, "No, I can't do it." It's not so long. First of all, you don't have to say 3 parshas of Shema, especially if you're davening Marav tonight. I think you're pretty good with Tzeis HaKacham. Halacha, you only have to say the first parsha of Shema. 3 parshas only if you daven Marav before the Tzeis HaKachavim. So it's only 1 parsha of Shema. You have to say Hamapil, which is a skula for Shalom Bayis, by the way. And then the Gemara just says, you have to say, Biyad Chav Kiruchi Padisa Si Hashem Kelames. That's it. But the Mishnah Berurah says you should say Vidoy before you go to sleep. Don't let the night go by without doing tshuva. The Talmud Devaira says that tshuva comes from the sphera of Bina. And that's the one sphera you want to inject in every single day of your life. You want every single day to be connected to the midah of Bina. Bina rectifies something at its shayrash. You want to connect tshuva to every day of your life. The Ramban writes, search your ways morning and night. Uvazek yu kol yamecha b'shuva. By the way, tshuva comes from Bina. Ulavava yavin v'yashav. Elul is Gematria Bina, 67. In order to do tshuva, you have to have Bina. Because at first glance, I look at myself and I see I'm a great guy. I have nothing to do tshuva for. I daven, I learn, I'm a nice guy. What do I have to do tshuva for? In order to do tshuva, you have to see beneath the surface. You have to be maven davar mitoich davar. You have to look deep into yourself. Without Bina, you can't do tshuva. You can't look at yourself superficially. By the way, it's very interesting. Is there any word in the Hebrew language that has more ramazim than Elul? I mean, Elul, wherever you look, it's Elul. If you look in a sefer, oh, Nisan's coming. Oh, here are the ramazim for Nisan. I know a few ramazim. I don't know any ramazim for Nisan. I don't know any. Iyar, Ani Hashem Reifecha. Sivan, I don't know any. Oh, Elul, Ani L'doi Dividoi Dili, Es Levav Chavi Es Levav Zarecha, Ish L'Reyehu Matasav Yoinim. I mean, Ki Ani Ichbati Es Liboy V'Es Lev. I found Rav Nosson, Tam Rav Nachman, he has like 20 added ramazim to Elul. The Avudraham writes, Valet Sion Goy, Uvalet Sion Goy, El Ul Shabbat Pesha. Avudraham brings. In the Oz Yashir there are a couple. They're everywhere. Wherever you look, there are ramazim to Elul. What? If Elul is so important, just say Elul. There should be a pasuk in the Torah. Vayidaber Shem Moshe Leimar, Hachin Atzmechem be'Elul. It doesn't say Elul anywhere, but it's Merumas. Why? Daya l'chakima baramiza. Who does remez appeal to? A chacham. Elul will have no meaning to somebody who's not a chacham because they're going to look at themselves and say, Hakol beseder. You need bina to take advantage of Elul. So we have ramazim to Elul as an indication that if you're going to be successful in this month, you need bina. If you don't have bina, then you're going to be yeshenim. You need to be awake. You need to be uru yeshenim to have bina lahavin davar mitoich davar. Says Rav Moshe Shapiro. That's why Elul needs remez. Then I saw the Reishis Chachma writes, besides doing tshuva every night, before you eat a meal, you should say vidoy. Before every meal you eat, you should do tshuva. Then the shulchan will be a mizbeach kapara. Now, before every meal, now I'll tell you the truth. I've said this over before. But you have to understand, until you hear something many, many, many times, it doesn't sink in. So you have to remember this. Before every meal, you should be mahar b'tshuva. The Shlosh says, what should you do? You should say vidoy. What about Shabbos? You don't say vidoy on Shabbos. He says, on Shabbos you should say, Umal Hashem alakecha es levav chavi es levav zarecha, before you have a suda. What does the Nefesh HaChaim say? Nefesh HaChaim says there's a concept that before someone learns Torah, there's a big danger, because there's an idea that as powerful as Limud Torah is, there's also an idea, Uvela Rasha Amar Elokim Malacha L'Saper Chukai. The Rebbe Shem says to the Rasha, why are you learning? I don't want you to learn. So there's an idea that when a person who's not worthy learns, the dark side could come, co-opt and hold hostage the learning and take it for their side. And that requires a very major discussion what this means. But the Nefesh HaChaim cites it, the Stipler talks about it. This is it's addressed in the Hakdama of the Beis Halevi ala Torah. There's an idea that V'la Rasha Amar Lekim, that if a person, by the way, there was one of the Dayanim in Prague in the times of Noed Yehuda was named Rav Zarach Eidelitz. He wrote a sefer Oyer La Yesharim. He writes those who say L'Shem Yichud, which we know the Noed Yehuda was not among. What's the concept of L'Shem Yichud? Where you're stipulating that if you're not worthy, and your Torah would then be co-opted by the dark side, you're being masneh that if it's going to go to the dark side, you're mechaveh not to be yotzei the mitzvah. That's pshat and l'shem yichud. So if you want to know what you're getting, those who say, what are you getting so worked up, you're making a t'nai that you don't want to be doing the mitzvah in case the monsters are taking it away. That's what he writes. He wrote a sefer on this subject. So therefore the Nefesh HaChaim writes, before you learn Torah, you know what you should do? You should be mahar b'tshuva. You should be mahar b'tshuva before you learn Torah. Then I saw the Agar Dekala brings from the Ramak that there are different times of the year that are very predisposed to tshuva. You know, if you look in the Torah says there are 3 main days of tshuva of the year. There's Erev Rosh Hashanah, there's Aseres Yemei Tshuva, and there's Yom Kippurim. Erev Rosh Hashanah takes away a third of the Chatan. Aseres Yemei Tshuva, another third. Yom Kippurim, another third. Well, what's this Indian of Erev Rosh Hashanah? The Ramak writes a very interesting idea. That once time leaves, it's very hard to go back and rectify the time. So the Ramak says there are 4 important intervals of tshuva. Mincha time before the Shkia, as the day is about to end, be maharher b'tshuva, because once the day ends, it goes somewhere and it's hard to get back into it and rectify it. So while it's still present, you want to rectify it while it's still there, because once it goes into the safe deposit vault and you have to speak to the banker, you might not have the account number and the paperwork is complicated. Once the day is over, it's hard to rectify, so you want to rectify the day before it's over, so you want to do tshuva before the shkia. And then Erev Shabbos. The week is about to end. You're about to be Makabel the Shabbos. You want to be Mahar B'tshuva to rectify the week before it ends. Maybe, by the way, that's why the Aruch HaShulchan says there's 6 prakim of Kabbalah Shabbos. Maybe, and he says each parak is keneged one day of the week. Maybe since we know Shabbos is the Yom HaTshuva, as your Makabel Shabbos, you do tshuva for Sunday, for Monday, for Tuesday. But before the week ends, you want to correct the week before it's over. Says the Ramak, that's Pshat in Yom Kippur Katan. That's Pshat in Erev Rosh Chodesh. Before the month is over, you want to rectify the month before it ends. And then Erev Rosh Hashanah, of course, then is the most important day of tshuva of the year, because before the year goes into the vault, you want to rectify the year before it's over. So how often does a person have to do tshuva? Every night before you go to sleep. Before you eat every meal. Before you learn Torah. Before the day is over. Before the week is over. Before the month is over. Before the year is over. And then I saw, just this past Friday, somebody asked me to learn with him, Avodas HaKodesh of the Chida, Erev Shabbos. You know that sefer? It's like the Chida's Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. The first sif is Koidam Kol Mitzvah Oilimud HaTorah Yaharher B'tshuva. So how often do you tshuva? Every time you do a mitzvah. So now you understand why in Orchos Tzadikim, why is there a paragraph on tshuva? Why is there a chapter on tshuva? The tshuva is a mitzvah. There's no chapter on tefillin. There's no chapter on Kriya Shema. There's a chapter on tshuva. Tshuva is not a mitzvah. It's a midah. It's an attitude. It's a perspective. It's like Chovos HaLevavos says, approaching HaKadosh Baruch Hu after richuk. So how often do you do tshuva? It's a mindset. You live in tshuva. You live in tshuva. You're always doing tshuva. Before every mitzvah, before every meal, before you go to sleep, before you learn, you're living in tshuva. It's not something you do, oh, it's Rosh Hashanah time. Hashamnu, bagadnu, gazalnu. It's a midah. Says the Marsha. You know why Moshe Rabbeinu was not masakin to learn Hilchos Rosh Hashanah on Rosh Hashanah? What's Hilchos Rosh Hashanah? Hilchos Rosh Hashanah is tshuva. Tshuva is every single day. And that's why there's a tzad in the Gemara, you don't make a shachiyanu on Rosh Hashanah. Well, shachiyanu v'kiyimanu v'giyonu lazman hazeh. What's this man? What happened today? Just adarabba. From Rosh Hashanah we learn out Adam nidain b'chol yoim, b'chol eis, b'chol rega, that we live in tshuva. You know what Rosh Hashanah is? Hayom today. It's always. Hayom is Rosh Hashanah is Hayom. From Rosh Hashanah, we gain a certain mahalach hachayim, that b'chol eis yu b'gadecha levanim. You're driving carpool? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Mahar b'tshuva. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should have been more careful where I looked. Maybe I should. It's a mindset. It's not guilt. I'm not talking about feeling bad about yourself. You're b'simcha. It's a constant feeling of chayfetz and ratzain loshuv el HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hayoim. Rosh Hashanah is Hayoim today. So we're talking about fruits. People like to eat fruits on Rosh Hashanah. Nowadays, you have to take out a mortgage to get all those fruits. Very expensive, especially where I live. There's one fruit you don't eat on Rosh Hashanah. The Gra said you're not to eat it. It's brought in the Maaseh Rav. Don't eat grapes on Rosh Hashanah. Why? Al Pisaid. Don't eat grapes. Everybody knows you're not to eat nuts. Tell you the most frequent question I get on Rosh Hashanah is, could I put pistachios in this dish and that dish? That's mamish dvarim ha'imdim berumah shalaylam. But the Gra said don't eat grapes on Rosh Hashanah. So the Mefarshim say, because what happened on Rosh Hashanah? Adam Rishon was judged. What was he judged for? Eating from the Eitz Hadas. What was the Eitz Hadas? This is going lefi the Shita, gefenhu. So you don't eat grapes the night of Rosh Hashanah. Maybe we could suggest, the Shla HaKadosh says Adam Rishon was given an asay and a lav. The lav was ume'etz hadas toiv hara lo yisaycha mimenu. But he was given an asay mikol eitz hagan ochel toichel. So maybe that's why we eat so many fruits the night of Rosh Hashanah. Same way we don't eat the eitz hadas, we do eat all those other fruits. It's an asay. Rabbi Shula Mikutna says, the Rambam writes, in no less than 8 places, that there's no mitzvah to blow the shofar. The Rambam says the mitzvah is to hear the sound of the shofar. The koiseres of the Rambam Hilchos Shofar, lishmaya kol shofar. Parak Aleph halacha Aleph, chayav kol shvisal lishmaya kol shofar. Parak Aleph halacha Gimel, the Rambam says, therefore, if you steal the shofar, yatsa, because it's not a mitzvah ba'avera, because the shofar is not a chefza shel mitzvah. It's like the hammer for the sukkah. You steal a sukkah la yatsa, you steal a shofar yatsa. Don't get any good ideas. It's not a nice thing to do. But if you steal a shofar, the Rambam paskins yatsa. And the Rambam in his Kitzer mitzvah says lishmaya. And the Rambam in his Kitzer mitzvah hamuchrachas, he says lishmaya. And Shas Chuas Pe'er Hadar, he says the mitzvah is lishmaya. Says Yishois Malkoi, why is the mitzvah to listen? Because on Rosh Hashanah, Adam sinned by listening to Chava. So we have to be masaking that by listening to the Kol Hashem. The Mekubalim are Megala. This is brought in a sefer Toisves Chaim, a Reb Chaim Yosef, the Abezin of Pashtin, but it's Merumas in the Siddur HaRizal. That when Adam Harishon ate from the Eitz Hadas, he was poigim in 2 Shemos of Hashem. In the Shem Havaya, the Yud Kei Vav Kei, he was poigim on the letters Vav and the Hey. What does that mean? Maybe what it means is, there's a Yismach Moshe in Parshas B'Shalach that says, Kiyad al Kes Ka. Amalek mitigates the shame of Hashem. Amalek says, yeah, Ribbon Shalom, Yismachu Hashamayim, you're good up there in the heaven. We believe in you up there in the heaven. But down here in this world, V'sogel haaretz, no. You're up there. You're not down here. That's why, when does Amalek come? Right after Hashem drops the mun down to the Aretz, Amalek comes to fight. Because they don't like the idea that Ribbon Shalom is involved in the affairs of man. So Amalek believes in the Yud Kei Yismachu Hashamayim. They don't hold of the Besogel Aretz. When Adam ate from the Eitz Hadash, he was Doichek Raglei Ashchina back up to the Yismachu Hashamayim. Then he was also Poigim in Elohim. Elohim, there are many sources. The Gra, the Chasam Sofer Elohim is made of 2 words. Su'u Maroim Einechem Uru'u Mi Bara Eila. You see this whole world? This world is Eila. There's a lot of stuff here. And our avodah is me. Who's responsible for it? Su'u Maroim Einechem Uru'u Mi Bara Eila. To combine the me to the Eila. That's why Esav asked Yaakov, who are Miha Yeladim? So Yaakov says, Eila. Yaakov's mitzaref, the Eila to the me. That's the avodah. To take the Eila and to recognize that there's a me. But Adam HaRishon, he infringed, he was poigim in the mem yud of Elokim. So in the vav k of yud k vav k, in the mem yud of Elokim. Says the Arizal, the avodah of Rosh Hashanah is to rectify the sin of Adam HaRishon and to restore the vav and the hey and to restore the mem and the yud. What then do we call Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah is the day of restoring hey, yud, vav, mem, hayom. Rosh Hashanah is called hayom because we restore the vav and the hey and we restore the yud and the mem. So that's the day that we rectify the sin of Adam HaRishon, and therefore our avodah is to be able to look at the world, everything in the world, and to ask ourselves, me, who's spinning it? To say, yes, Rebbe Shem is not only Yismuch HaShamayim, but he's also V'sogel HaAretz. One more approach, why Rosh Hashanah is called Hayom. When Adam HaRishon takes from the Eitz Hadas, so the Pasuk says that the Rebbe Shem was very concerned. And the Rebbe Shem said, if Adam HaRishon ate from the Eitz Hadas, what's going to be? V'ata pen yishlach yadoi v'achal me'etz hachayim. V'ata, and now maybe Adam will eat from the Eitz hachayim. Says the Medrash Rabbah, v'ata melamed shepasach HaKadosh Baruch Hu pesach shel tshuva shenemar v'ata v'ein v'ata elo tshuva shenemar v'ata Yisrael ma'ashem lekach Hashem ma'imach. Hashem gave Adam HaRishon an opportunity to do tshuva. How do I know? Because it says v'ata, and now. So the Chavetz Chaim asks in a footnote in the Avas Chesed, v'ata doesn't mean tshuva, v'ata means now. How do we say anything about tshuva in the word v'ata and now? So the Chavetz Chaim tells us something very powerful. And for this we have to sort of creep in to the psychology of our own minds and the minds of mankind. Why don't we do what we have to do? Why don't we do what we have to do? You know, why are we nisrashel in avodas Hashem? Let's say we go to an 8 o'clock minyan. What time do you think is the correct time to come? I think most people would say you got to have your talis and tefillin on probably a good few minutes before they start if you want to have a fighting chance of saying the words. I think everybody agrees to that. So then, here guy, he's rolling the 808. Can't say the whole Psukei de Zimra. He's not starting Shemona Esrei with the tzibur. He's a guy, he thinks he's makbid on minyan. Unless you start Shemona Esrei with the tzibur, it's not considered davening with the minyan. The guy's shuckling, Yigdal Elokim Chai, and they're up to Berchas Kriya Shema. So the guy's a frum Jew, he hasn't davened with the minyan 10 years. He just has to come on time. So why doesn't he come on time? He doesn't believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Avada he believes in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He doesn't believe in the Mishnah Berurah, Avada he believes. If you would ask him, why was he created? He said, I was created, Oilam Hazeh, Doim El Proizer B'fnei Olam, I was created to serve Hashem. So Rabbi, when's the correct time to come? 7:50, 6:50, 10 minutes. So why don't you do it? What's the answer? You know what the answer he would say? I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow. You're right. It's very important. I'm going to do it tomorrow. The guy goes to a shiur about the importance of learning Musar. Do you believe in it? Is it important? Yeah. When are you going to do it? I'm going to do it tomorrow. The Yitzhar is never going to get the guy to say, the rabbi doesn't know what he's talking about. The shmooze doesn't make any sense. The response to everything in our minds is, we're going to start tomorrow or next week. It's already 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. I'm not going to start now. I'm going to start Rosh Hashanah, right? In our minds, I'm getting ready to start. This Rosh Hashanah is going to be. And then probably 3 days after Rosh Hashanah, we're going to say, this Yom Kippur. And then 2 days after Yom Kippur, Hashanah Rabbah is even greater than Yom Kippur. And then after that, the Bnei Yisachar says you still have until Chanukah. And then Tu B'Shvat is their Katzir Shleishim Yom Kaidem Brias Ha'olam, and Rabbi Shua says the world was created in Nisan. I'll wait till Rabbi Shai Kerster's yard site. Whatever the cheshbon is, we're gonna do it. We're just gonna do it a different time, not now. You know, when I marry off all my kids, when I marry off all my grandkids, when I marry off all my great grandkids, not now, after I die, I'm gonna start. Everyone is going to do it, just not now. Says the Chafetz Chaim, you don't have to tell a Jew what he needs to do. We know what we need to do. We just need to know when we need to do it. Yeah, everyone's going to do Chafetz Chaim Yoimi, Musar Yoimi, Mishnah Berurah Yoimi, Dershu, Daf HaShavua, Oiraisa, Daf. Yeah, everyone's doing it, but not yet. Because it's in middle of Ksubis. So why would you start in middle? No! I don't care if the last word was ta. Start with Shema now. Says the Chafetz Chaim, the most important question we'll ever ask ourselves is, what does the Rebbeinu Shalom want from me right this minute? Now. Tshuva is not what, tshuva is when. How many good ideas we have in our head that we're going to get around to? I can make a list myself. I have great ideas. It's just not a good time. It's not a convenient time. It's not a conducive time. There's a better time. It says in Mesilas Yesharim, Anachnu royim be'einenu kama v'kama pa'amim shekvar liboy shel adam yodei chayvasei. How often we see that a person knows his obligation. He knows what he needs to do to save himself. What his obligation is. And yet most people don't do it. Not because they don't realize it's important, but mipnei ha'atzlus. Pasha laziness. Oichel kima, I'm going to eat a bissel, I'm going to drink a bissel, I'm going to sleep a bissel, I'm going to relax a little bit, I'm going to wait until after the Yom Tif, I'm going to wait until next month, I'm going to wait until a better speaker comes. That's when I'm going to do tshuva. Says the Chafetz Chaim, Ein ve'ata ella tshuva. Tshuva is now. You know, there's a character in the Chumash, every single time he appears with the following word. Machar. You know who that is? Amalek. Sorry, the stapler wasn't working. Amalek. Vayomer Moshe Yoshua. V'tzei hilachem ba'amalek. Machar. Yavai hamelech v'haman el hamishteh. Umachar esek kedvar hamelech. You know, sin gam machar. Every time in Tanakh, without exception, Amalek is found in a pasuk. It's together with the word machar, because that's the koach of Amalek. Amalek's not going to tell you, no, the sefer is wrong. You're really allowed to start Shemona Esrei 3.5 minutes after the Chazan does. That's also like davening with a minyan. No, that's also good. No, really, you're allowed to look at a phone in a shul. Of course, you're not allowed to. Imagine if a Kohen Gadol, while he's wearing the tzitz, pulled out of his phone, he's going like that. He's out of his mind, right? And people take out a phone in a shul. So everybody knows it's wrong. Everyone knows it's not begeder tefillah. It's not begeder ula'avdoi b'chol levavchem. What's tefillah? With all your heart. So your phone is on vibrate. It's not that you're not even trying. You're not even making an effort to daven. Everybody understands that. It's not l'cha b'chol levavchem. But the pshat is, tomorrow I'm going to stop doing it. That's Amalek. Machar. Tomorrow. Atem nitzavim hayoim. You want to stand tall on Rosh Hashanah? Atem, says Ram Gamliel Rabinovich. Al toimar machar. Don't say tomorrow. Al toimar machar. Then nitzavim hayoim. Then you'll stand tall on Rosh Hashanah. You know what Rosh Hashanah is? Rosh Hashanah, the midah of Rosh Hashanah is to recognize that what we need to do hayom, we need to do it right away. So we offered 3 approaches to why Rosh Hashanah is hayom. Number 1, the mitzvah of tshuva, the midah of tshuva, is not a mitzvah only, it's a midah, it's an attitude, it's a mahalach hachayim. We eat after mahar b'tshuva. We do a mitzvah after a mahar b'tshuva. We learn Torah after a mahar b'tshuva. We go to sleep after a mahar b'tshuva. Tshuva is part of every day. We don't let the day go by. We don't let the week go by. We don't let the month go by. We don't let the year go by. Tshuva is hayom every single day. And then hayom, we're masakein the ois that Adam Rishon was poigim in the Shem Havaya, the Vav K, and the Mem Yud. By the way, Rav Pinchas Friedman, Shvia Pinchas says an amazing thing. That's Pshat. Shvarim, Shever Yud Mem. Adam Rishon broke the Yud Mem. Teruah, he was Teirah and the Vav K. He harmed the Vav K. So we build a shofar, we're masakein that. And then Rosh Hashanah is called hayom, because we all know what we need to do. It's just a question of when we're going to do it. And the avodah of Rosh Hashanah is that all of those good rayonos and machshavos and plans and ideas and things that we say we're going to get to, we're going to start tonight. Tonight. We're not going to start doing tshuva before breakfast. We're going to start tonight before we go to sleep, adopting this hanhaga. So, in the zchus of us coming together this evening to prepare ourselves a little bit for the Yom Hadin, may the Rebbe Shem be mevarech all of us with a year of gezint, with nachas from our mishpachos, with parnasa berevach, Yimalei Hashem kol mishal aseinu l'toiva, shana toiva varechas lanu l'chol Yisrael. Amen.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.